Today, we're going to talk about something we all experience, but rarely dig into fear. Fear holds so many of us back from starting the things that we want to do, whether it's fear of failing, fear of being judged, or just feeling like we're just not ready yet. It's that little voice in our head that says, what if it doesn't work out? But what if it does? Let's start by naming the fears that tend to keep us stuck. First, there's this fear of failure. We've all been there, afraid to try something because we don't want to mess up or we don't want to fall flat on our face. It feels like if we fail, it's proof that we weren't good enough. But here's the truth, y'all. Failure, doesn't define us. It teaches us something. Every person who's ever achieved anything, big or small, has a list of failures behind them. Next, fear of judgment. This one is tough because nobody likes feeling judged. We wonder what will people think, but honestly, people are way more focused on their own lives than we realize. Then there's this fear of not being ready. We wait for that perfect moment, for all the ducks to be lined up, but guess what? It never comes. There's no such thing as the perfect moment. It is confidence that comes after action, not before. You've got to start before you feel ready. So, how does fear show up in our lives? It's sneaky. It's often like procrastination. You keep putting things off, waiting for that perfect time. Maybe you've done this before with something small, like responding to an email or starting a new habit. You wait, overthink, and it gets harder to start. Fear also shows up as overthinking. You get caught up in all the what ifs and what if it doesn't work out? And what if people don't like it? What if people say this and that and a third about me? But you've talked yourself, which will end up you talking yourself out of your great idea. And let's not forget about the perfectionism. We want things to be perfect. And I'm not going to lie, I tend to have this perfectionism aspect with me, but I learned to manage it. I can't you can't like it's difficult to be perfect and then execute because waiting for that like I mentioned before, waiting for that perfect moment will only hold you back. So remember, done is better than perfect. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get started. Now, why is it so important to face fear? Because fear isn't going anywhere. It's always going to show up when you're doing something new or important. Just here's the thing, growth happens when you push through the fear, not when you stay in your comfort zone. So send that email, send that text message, make that phone call, book that trip. Every time you take a step forward, even when fear is present, you build courage. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. So, how can we start seeing fear differently? First, understand that fear is normal. It's not a sign you're doing something wrong, it's a sign you're stepping up. Second, fear is a teacher. It's there to show you something about yourself. Maybe it's teaching you that you care deeply about a goal or that you need to build more confidence. And finally, fear can't stop you unless you let it. You have the power to keep moving, even when fear shows up. Reframe your fear shifts your mindset. All right, so most of us think that fear is a sign that we should stop. Oh no, I feel scared. This must mean something else is wrong. But here's the truth, fear doesn't mean stop, it means you're doing something new on a new level, something that matters. Ever notice how you feel when you're doing the same old things you've done a million times before? That's because fear pops up when you're on the edge of growth. Think of fear like a yellow traffic sign or a yellow traffic light. It's not saying stop, it's just saying slow down, check your surroundings, but keep going. It's a sign you're headed in the right direction towards something new and meaningful. So let's talk about a few quick hacks you can use when fear starts messing with your head. First, name the fear. Either write it down or say it out loud. Sounds simple, right? But naming it takes away some of its power because it stops swirling around in your mind. Suddenly, it's just a thought, not something controlling you. Next, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen, right? Or what I would like to say or ask is, what if things do go right? Instead of imagining the worst, flip it. Ask yourself, what if it works out better than I ever expected? The truth is, fear loves to make us focus on failure, but shifting to positive possibilities opens your mind to hope, excitement, and courage. And finally, use an anchor thought. This is a positive thought that reminds you of your strength. When your fear creeps in, or when the fear creeps in, we're not accepting that as ours. So when the fear creeps in, remind yourself, I've faced tough things before and I can handle this too. That simple shift can make a huge difference. I want to share a quick story with y'all. When I first thought about starting something new, whether it was like a business or a project or even just showing up online, I was scared. I had all these fears running through my mind. Like, what if nobody listens? Like, what if I get zero views? What if I fail and look foolish? But instead of letting those fears stop me, I actually paused. I didn't stop. I didn't change my mind or, get distracted. I just paused. I asked myself, like, what's the worst that can really happen for most? But for me, I said, what if it does work out? I'm on a new level, so of course, things are fairly new, but what if it does work out? What if I do get thousands of views? What if I inspire just that one person to take the initiative, to take action? That's all that matters to me, is like to inspire people to take action, to focus on the good side of the what ifs. And when I thought about it, um, it wasn't so scary after all. I might mess up, sure, but I'd learn something along the way. And every time that I kept going, despite how I was feeling, I built a little more confidence. So fear didn't go away, it just completely, I just lost grip of it. That's what I want you to take away from this. Fear isn't in charge of you unless you let it be. So here's the big takeaway. Fear will show up. It's part of the process, but it doesn't have to be a roadblock. It doesn't have to stop you from achieving your goals. You have the power to reframe it, to see it as a signal that you're growing, learning, and stepping into something new. Don't wait for the fear to vanish because it won't. The fear will always be there. But you do have to feel it, acknowledge it, and keep moving forward, anyways. That's how you build belief in yourself and start living the life you want. All right, Module 3, Lesson 1, build inner confidence. Confidence doesn't just show up one day, it's something you build over time. And the best way to build it, small wins. Every little step you take counts, and each one proves to you that you're capable. Think of small wins like stacking bricks. Yes. Every brick you lay strengthens the foundation of your confidence, whether it's showing up to work out for 10 minutes, finishing that one task that you've been avoiding, or simply speaking up in a meeting. Those small actions matter. When you hit those little goals, your brain starts saying, hey, I can do this. That's how confidence is built, not from giant leaps, but from consistent small steps forward. What you say to yourself every day matters more than you realize. As a man thinketh, so is he, right? Speaking life into yourself is a great way to reprogram your mind. When you wake up, tell yourself things like, I am capable of achieving my goals. Or my favorite one is, every day I'm getting closer to the person I want to be. It might feel weird at first, but trust me, the more you say it, the more you'll start believing it. Another powerful tool is visualization. Yes, close your eyes and picture yourself succeeding. See yourself hitting that goal, speaking with confidence, or finishing that project. Visualize those small details, even down to the number, the marble flooring, the wood grain in the car, whatever it is, detail it. It might sound a little woo woo, but athletes and high performers use this technique because it works. When your brain can see it, it starts to believe it's possible, and that makes taking action feel easier. All right, all right. Ditch perfectionism. Ooh, let's get into this, you guys. Let's get into this. Perfectionism is sneaky. It makes you think you're just waiting until it's right, right? But really, it's keeping you stuck. How many times have you said, I'll do it when I'm ready, or when my ducks are all lined up, or when this, that, and the third is in order? No such thing, right? The truth is you'll never feel 100% ready. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll be waiting forever. That's why messy action is key. Even if it's not perfect, taking one step forward is better than standing still. You can always tweak and improve things later, but you can't fix what you never start. Progress matters more than getting it perfect. So let's talk about something real, comparison, right? Social media, you know, social media for one, right? So it's a joy killer, right? When you focus on what someone else is doing, you lose sight of your own path. And here's the thing, you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their struggles, their doubts, or their messy moments. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on your own growth. Stay in your lane. Ask yourself, am I further than I was yesterday? That's the only comparison that matters. It's you versus you, not you versus them. Celebrate every little win, no matter how small, because it's those wins that will keep you moving forward. I want to keep it real with y'all. When I first started, I was caught up in wanting everything to be perfect. I thought, I needed the perfect message, the perfect timing, the perfect videos, um, the perfect designs, colors, and so forth. But here's the thing, here's what I learned. Waiting for perfect was just me procrastinating because I was scared. I was a perfectionist. I am a recovering perfectionist. So I decided to just go for it. I took messy action. I launched things that weren't perfect. I made mistakes, but I learned. And you know what? Things didn't fall apart. In fact, those messy first steps were what got me to where I am now. Progress over perfection. That's what it's all about. Here's what I want you to take away from this lesson. Confidence grows when you take action, not when you wait for things to be perfect. Stop comparing yourself to others. I know social media is out there. I know um, I guess it's easier to look at someone's chapter 20 than your chapter one. And this is why comparison will leave you stuck. This is why comparison is bad for you because you don't know what they've gone through. They're only showing the end result, not the process, let alone the beginning of their journey. So believe in yourself. You don't need to have it all together or figured out. Just take one messy, imperfect step at a time. Take action with grace. Think of goals like a GPS for your life. Without them, you're just running around, driving around, hoping you end up where you want to be. But clear goals, they give you direction. They tell you exactly where you're headed and keep you focused on what matters. Setting goals gives you, or it also gives you confidence. When you're clear about what you want, making decisions gets easier because you're not second guessing yourself or second guessing every move. You know where you're going and you're on the right path. When it comes to setting goals, you've got to be specific. Saying something like I want to be healthy sounds good, but it's also too vague. How will you know if you're making progress? Instead, say something like, I'll exercise for 20 minutes 3 times a week. Now you've got something clear to work with. Your goals should also be realistic, but not boring. If they're too easy, you won't care about them. But if they're too hard, you'll get overwhelmed. Find that middle ground where it's achievable but still stretches you. And here's a big one, make sure your goals are connected to what truly matters to you. Ask yourself, why do I want this? When your goal has a purpose behind it, you'll stay motivated, even when it gets tough. Now, let's talk about how to actually get started. I call this the 3 step action plan method. Okay, so step number one, break your goal into smaller tasks. Big goals can feel overwhelming, so the trick is to break them down into smaller, doable steps. If your goal is to start a side hustle or a business, don't think about launching the whole thing right away. Just start with brainstorming ideas. That's your first task. Step number two, set a timeline for each task. Deadlines help you stay on track. Without them, it's easy to keep pushing towards them. Give each small task a timeline. For example, you might say, I'll brainstorm the the let's say I'll create a name for my side hustle by Friday. Step number three, celebrate your progress. This one's important. When you hit a milestone, no matter how small, take a moment to celebrate. Maybe you treat yourself to a favorite snack. Mine is chocolate. So whenever I achieve all of my goals for the week, I will have a dessert in hand. It keeps your energy up and makes the whole thing feel rewarding. As you can see, I have many stories. Let me share a quick story with you guys. When I first started my coaching journey, I had all these big dreams. I actually started my coaching journey in my 9 to 5. I was actually a coach for about 10 years. Um, so I will say that I was overwhelmed and I kept pushing things off because I didn't feel like I was ready to turn it into a business. What helped me break that, or what helped me break that huge goal into smaller goals, was to break them down into small, doable tasks. My first step was to just write down my ideas, and I had a lot of them, and I actually still do. That's it. Once I did that, I gave myself a deadline. Without a deadline, you're literally just going in circles. Like you're not going to get anything done. You're going to procrastinate. And yeah, I set and enforced deadlines. That was a huge thing. I used my calendars to get that done. And when I finished, I celebrated by taking a day off or, having like a nice little treat, a little chocolate treat, because I have a sweet tooth. Those little steps, they added up. And that's how I started hitting those big goals by taking small, consistent action. Here's the main thing I want you to remember: clear goals give you direction and confidence. When you break goals down into smaller tasks, set deadlines, and celebrate yourself, celebrate your progress, you'll stay motivated and actually get things done. Action builds momentum. Don't wait for the perfect time. Just start small and keep moving forward.